Hey, ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday, December 21st, 2022. I'm going to cut right to it, ladies and gentlemen. I got bad news today. I talked to our contacts at our key staffers in the House, Mr. Slade Bond, who informed me that it's not going to happen, guys. Our legislation is not going to pass this year. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Democrats, well, Congress, but most importantly, the Democrats they made the choice to squander this very rare opportunity they had to do the right thing, and something that they've been promising to do since like 2006. So bankruptcy will remain gone from student loans through the end of this year. And I'm really sorry to have to tell you this, guys. I truly am. I know Christmas is a few days away and so forth. And, to everyone who worked so hard, and I saw you out there, too many to name, but you guys know who you are. Jackie and Lisa and Gordon, and obviously our fearless co-leader, Ed, and so many, literally thousands or even tens of thousands of people who really did go above and beyond. Y'all should be proud of yourselves, because we definitely fought the good fight. We fought with the best of good faith. We told nothing but the truth the whole time through. We didn't do any shady deals, nothing unethical. We were completely transparent, and you all have a lot to be proud of just for that fact alone. We were close, but I'm sorry, that doesn't count very much in my humble opinion. So I am just, I will unpack it. By the way, if you're watching us, we are studentloanjustice.org. We are the first, the oldest, the largest, and I would say the only true grassroots group fighting for student loan justice. If you have any questions or comments, and you can see us on Twitter or Facebook, throw them out, and I'm happy to respond to them. But yeah, guys, I just found out a few hours ago, I could pretty much tell when it was not in that omnibus budget last night. I'm going to jump right into your comments here in case you have any questions. I'm happy to unpack everything if you want me to. But the up and the down of it is, guys, we did everything right. We got the legislation out there in a timely manner. We did all kinds of jawboning and with all kinds of politicians. We got many conservatives, including Republicans in Congress, to support this legislation. The bills would have passed with flying colors through both House and Senate. So what stopped this legislation, and this is kind of for the record, and I'm sorry to have to say this, but there were two things that really jumped out at me. Maybe you saw some other things, and I'm happy to entertain your comments. The two key things that I noticed that really were the stoppers on this legislation. Number one, and this is just terrible to have to say this, but the historically black colleges and universities, the HBCUs, opposed. They went out of their way to oppose this legislation. And, I will let them defend themselves for all the harm they've done to their own constituents, big time, like big time. And there were some other unnamed, at least unnamed to me, civil rights groups. So who was that? I don't know. But So that was the one thing. The second thing, and again, I am just so sorry to have to say this, guys, but um, uh, the day that our House bill came out, HR 9110, there was no, actually, the day that our House bill was going to be in a hearing that was going to be run around in a televised obviously nationally broadcast hearing from the House Judiciary Committee, Senator Elizabeth Warren called a press conference to announce her own forthcoming bankruptcy bill. And this was literally like a month and a half or maybe 2 months ago. Not even 2 months ago, I don't think. Which was just baffling to me here in the 11th hour at the very end of this congressional session. She announced her own big, broad, very broad, goes way beyond student loans, bankruptcy bill. And within an hour of that, the hearing got postponed. And that hearing ended up never happening. And I would also say on Senator Elizabeth Warren, months ago, 6-7 months ago, she was interviewed she was asked point blank by the Boston Globe whether she supported S-2598, our Senate bill. And she refused to answer the question. She said, "Oh, I don't want to negotiate against myself." So I don't know what that meant, but we never heard Elizabeth Warren, who taught bankruptcy law at Harvard University for years. In fact, Elizabeth Warren's very first splash in the national spotlight was a top story on 60 Minutes, a piece that me and our members, me and 3 of our members were featured on. And she nailed it back then. And so I don't know. I'm seeing ghosts here. I can't speak for Elizabeth Warren. But those 2 things, the HBCUs and Elizabeth Warren, were the 2 things I could see that prevented this bill from happening. Now, was there more to it? Yeah, there's always more to it. I would suspect that the HBCUs were probably being propped up by many other colleges, for-profits chief among them, but probably also nonprofit colleges. I think the HBCUs probably got used by colleges writ large who don't want this legislation passed. The colleges, anything that rocks the boat from the status quo is a threat to the colleges. And so I would guess, not having any proof, I would guess that the colleges were instrumental in this bill not getting passed. Or should I say in the Democrats choosing to betray us. And, here's a little bit of a history, guys. The Democrats swore the first thing they were going to do when they retook Congress in 2006 was return bankruptcy to student loans. Well, lo and behold, we had an amendment come through that would have returned bankruptcy to private student, not even federal student loans, private student loans only. And lo and behold, the last minute, the blue dog Democrats stood up and killed this amendment. Again, in the lame duck session in 2010, after the Democrats had lost their majority, we begged and pleaded and wrote articles. We didn't fight nearly as hard as we did this time because we were a much, much smaller group at that time. But, we wrote articles and we did all the phone calls and everything like that. Did everything we could possibly do to compel the Democrats to return bankruptcy student loans in the lame duck of 2010. And again, they didn't do it. So that last betrayal was literally 12 years ago, ladies and gentlemen, and over $1 trillion has been added onto our backs since then. And quite frankly, the lending system is now in catastrophic failure. I think the pandemic was the nail in the coffin of this thing. So the stakes are far, 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 far higher now. And, I'm still in disbelief that the Democrats didn't push this bill through. I have a comment from Alan Bodenheimer. Alan says, "Don't say anything about black colleges, no matter what. We are both tired, Allens, though it is okay. Black people are probably hit the worst." Yeah, no, the vicious ironies of the HBCUs opposing this legislation is never ending. People of color, black people, are hurt so much worse than average by these loans. I mean, the last type of college I could even imagine would oppose this legislation would be the HBCUs for the reason I just mentioned. But it is what it is, guys. I've got to report the truth and the facts, and that's what I do. I don't hold anything back. And so, yeah, we tell the truth on this group, Alan, no matter where it leads. And the fact is what I said. And you can draw your own conclusions. Don't shoot the messenger. So, and obviously, we had all kinds of silent, sneaky opposition. Your own conclusions. Don't shoot the messenger. The Republicans almost. So, and the Republicans almost monolithically were against us and have always been on bankruptcy. There were many, many cracks in that thing that developed. We had many people from the Federalist, as a matter of fact, published multiple op-eds calling for the return of bankruptcy to student loans. Interestingly, but yeah, no, the Republicans are evil, guys, and we have to look. We have to look forward to in the coming session. Jim Jordan running the Judiciary Committee in the House. He's never been a good guy on the student loan issue. Never been a super terrible guy, but never been a good guy. Certainly opposes student loan cancellation viciously. And Virginia Fox, who is literally the worst person in the world on student loans, including bankruptcy, most notably bankruptcy. In fact, I was in North Carolina and I asked her point blank at a campaign event for her about bankruptcy to student loans, and yep, she is against it. So, and I'll also say the guys I talked to on the phone, but this wasn't about the Republicans, guys. This one was about the Democrats. They had the House, they had the Senate, they had the presidency. That they had a decades-long standing promise, including a line item in their party plank in their party's agenda, DNC agenda, to return bankruptcy to student loans. So, as I said, if I had to point to the things that prevented our bills from being passed, at least as it was communicated to me, it's the ominous silence of many Democrats, but most notably Elizabeth Warren. And yeah, whatever shenanigans were going on behind the scenes, I don't know, but with the HBCUs. So I'm seeing a bunch of comments here. Kara Rodriguez, where do we go from here? Yeah, that's really the question, Kara. We're headed into 2 years of gridlock. There is no doubt. And let me say again, to everybody who was fighting this fight, I salute you. I could also, I don't want to be petty and small, but I guess I probably should point to all the people on our group who didn't do anything, and that was way too many. And that is just shameful, but I'm not even going to go there. I want to try and be constructive here. Because the names that I'm looking at right now, Gordon and Kara and Terry and Rhiannon, and many other people, they were out there fighting, and those bills wouldn't have even happened but for the people on this group. And by the way, loan cancellation wouldn't even be in the zeitgeist but for this group. So we all have a lot, all the hard work that our members did to get our petition before anybody was talking about canceling student loans by executive order. All the hard work that the people on our group did to get our petition up to 1.2 million signatures. That was the genesis of the whole loan cancellation by executive order thing. So we've got a lot to be proud of. I don't want to dwell on the people in this group who did nothing. They know what they did, what they didn't do, and other people know what they did, what they didn't do. But I was impressed. I mean, we gave it a very good shot, guys. We teed it up for them. We teed everything up. We got we got Republican support for this bill. We got the bills out in the first place. I mean, heck, we even managed. And I should maybe point to Blake Zeff, the filmmaker, who had the ethical integrity to make a blockbuster documentary that is showing on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, by the way, which goes directly to the question of why, who removed bankruptcy from student loans? Like, what a stupid thing to do. I strongly recommend, by the way, that you watch that documentary either on Christmas Eve or Christmas night on MSNBC. We're a fiercely nonpartisan group, by the way. I feel like I have to say that. But yeah, no, I think this whole thing has really laid bare just the truth of things as far as, you know, both parties go. As I've said for years, we don't trust either party further than we can bowl them, and sure enough, they bore that out here. So where to go from here, Kara? You know, I'm going to say nothing for the next week or so. I'm going to enjoy my Christmas holidays, and frankly, would be very interested to know your thoughts. And you know, I mean, here is the lay of the land. We're still here. The lending system is still catastrophically failed, and you know, it's far worse even than before the pandemic. Before the pandemic, 85% of all borrowers were never, ever going to be able to repay their loans. More than half had already stopped paying, and another 30-something% were paying, but their loan balances were going up. You know, I will only say in the final analysis, guys, we are indeed the people. We do indeed own this lending system. We retain the ultimate leash of control over this failed lending beast. And so I would hope that everybody would take some heart in that fact. But yeah, I'm going to be quiet about. I'm going to reflect for a week or so. Think about things, listen to you guys, and kind of see what your thoughts are. If anybody wants to burn their student loans on video, we will happily post it on our Facebook group. In the meantime, but anyways, hey, Terry Dodd says, in a way, I'm surprised, but not surprised, and yet nothing is being done about this problem. They could have, but their ego and pride to the side and passed both. Oh, they could have put, I think you mean their ego and pride to the side, passed both bills. This is going to bite them in the ass big time. Yeah, you're exactly right, Terry. I would not want to be the Democrats right now, you know, and even Dick Durbin's person, when we met with him on Friday, and Lisa will vouch for this, he acknowledged that they're going to take a hit for this. You know, if you watch the film on Saturday and Sunday, Christmas Eve, Christmas night, this thing was teed up on a platter like a marshmallow on a tee for Dick Durbin. All he had to do was swing the bat. And man, he did not do it. And I don't think the Democrats quite realize what they've done or what they haven't done. I don't think they quite realize the depths of the betrayal on this. So we'll Rhiannon Dodds Funk says Republicans have never even promised or tried. Yeah, I mean, that's basically true, Rhiannon. I could point to a couple bills that some Republicans have written. Glenn Grothman, well, one bill that one Republican has written, Glenn Grothman, who actually wrote a very good bankruptcy bill, believe it or not. Alan says, let us all unite and do what we can while we are alive to make this corrupt system better. Go, Alan. Well, thank you, Alan. Good evening. Are we permanently giving up forever, Miss Joanna Kearns? I mean, what does that even mean? No. Where are we going to go? The problem remains. We're still here. So, but as I said, guys, I'm not in the planning business for the next week. I'm going to kick back. I'm going to enjoy my holidays, and think about things. It's been a long 2 years, if you haven't noticed. I've certainly been busting my ass, and this is just a bitter pill for me to swallow personally, I will say. Hey, Rhiannon says, Blue Dog Democrats are Republicans in sheep's clothing. You know, I'm not even sure I can even tell the difference anymore, Rhiannon. It's kind of like the good cop versus the bad cop thing or something. Rhiannon says it would have been hugely popular with a lot of folks. Well, you know, I don't think anybody wants to file for bankruptcy, but it's kind of like the minimum that certainly I think most student loan borrowers, it's the minimum that could have been done to give us a floor of trust and faith, both in the political parties, Congress generally, but in the lending program. And so we'll see where this goes from here. But I see all public confidence in the federal student loan program going away. If it was on life support to begin with. I don't see student loans ever being turned back on, guys. I don't know. But again, I'm not in the future predicting business. Right now, I think our best move is just to be quiet for once. I'm so sick of hearing myself talk, honestly, guys. After the past 2 years, I think it is highly appropriate that we go dark for at least a week, maybe two, I don't know, and just kind of listen. And whatever you guys think, I'm so happy to hear your thoughts. And to everybody who I'm looking at, I thank you and I salute you and I applaud you for all of your hard work. Given that so few people, honestly, how few people on this group were actually doing the daily actions and really getting their hands dirty, I think it's frankly quite remarkable how far we got and how close we got. It wouldn't have taken much more to push us over the edge. But anyways, I digress. Leslie says, hi all. Thank you for your hard work. I still stand with you and will be here within my scope and range. No respect, but F you to demo rats. They all suck. Rhiannon says, I'm sick of cinema and Manchi can't wait for more progressives to be elected, but we'd pass it if we had the numbers. Well, Rhiannon, I have to say, the Democrats had the numbers. This bill had bipartisan support. There was more than enough Republican support on the Senate side to pass this bill. I'd say there's more than enough Republican support to pass this bill in the House, including like guys who most progressives cannot stand, like Matt Gaetz, believe it or not, was all in for this bill, for this legislation. So, anyways, Rhiannon says bankruptcy would be obvious in many cases, including mine. You know, it's not so much that we wanted everybody to run out and file for bankruptcy, and I don't think that would have happened, quite frankly. It's just having the leverage, the power of bankruptcy back that means everything. And that's still true today, guys. Unless and until we get the leverage of bankruptcy returned, we're never going to see anything voluntarily come from either side, not the Democrats, not the Republicans, that will actually be meaningful. You know, we've been at this for 17, 18 years now, guys, and I think we've tried everything to act within the established rules and procedures of Congress and civil discourse and so forth. And yeah, quite frankly, I'm a little bit at a loss, and I'm gonna, like I said, I personally am gonna reflect on this for a while. In my humble opinion, it's not only unwise but hugely unpatriotic. If anybody pays even another dollar into this unconstitutional lending beast, that is still true. Alan says bankruptcy is a human right. Not so sure about human right, but you know, it's called for in the Constitution. Ahead of all the rights listed in the Bill of Rights, for example, it's listed ahead of, you know, the power to declare war and raise an army and coin currency in the Constitution. You know, there is no stronger argument that I can think of. There is no more blatant injustice in terms of blatant constitutional violations that I can point to than the student loan scam. There's no easier, more politically expedient fix. There's no better, I mean, to me, getting bankruptcy returned has always been and still is a no-brainer. It's like, duh, obviously, many things need to happen with student loans, but obviously the one thing that can, should, and must be done right now is returning the floor of fairness the bankruptcy rights are. So the lending system's over a cliff now, guys. And frankly, I think the people in Washington, D.C. don't have the first clue as to what to do. And the lack of political courage we saw on, and I'm so sorry to have to say this, Senator Dick Durbin and Congressman Jerry Nadler, the two sponsors of the Senate and the House bill. I don't know that they'll ever live this down. I don't know. Yeah, big shame on those guys. We worked with them closely. We worked with their staffers very closely. Maybe one other, just for the record again, I will say, you know, there was a key guy working for on the House side. I'm not sure if he actually worked for David Cicilline, Jerry Nadler, or maybe the House Judiciary Committee. His name was Matt Robinson. He was, as far as I could tell, along with Slade Bond, he was the point person who was really honchoing this legislation. Well, around 3 weeks ago, I want to say, maybe a month ago, 3 weeks ago, we're very politely, me and John in Rhode Island, very politely asking Matt, so when is the hearing going to happen? You postponed the hearing. When's the hearing going to happen? And no answer. Well, we came to find out that Matt had been hired away from that job, that post, hired away by, drum roll, the Department of Education, who quite frankly is our nemesis. It's another interesting little data point for you there. Alan says, Alma Adams from North Carolina says she is for any debt relief. Don't know what that means, but okay, Alan. Thank you, Alan. Rhiannon says Lone Wolves was insightful. Yeah, you know, a very high quality film. Again, I should tell you guys, you should really watch that film. I think a lot of people are going to see it on Christmas Eve and Christmas night. Like, And again, I'm frankly shell shocked here, guys. I just really am. I'm almost speechless. Rhiannon says, I adored Warren. Knocked 900 doors for her. I volunteered for Elizabeth Warren too in Iowa, Rhiannon. We've done everything possible over the years to work with Elizabeth Warren. And Ed, our fearless co-leader who lives in Boston, he volunteered for her, and he can tell you, he can write a book on the history that he and this group has with Elizabeth Warren. And, you know, okay, here's one prediction I will make. Come January 3rd or whenever the new Congress comes in, I will bet you that Elizabeth Warren will say, yeah, bankruptcy, number one, bankruptcy, top priority, my bankruptcy. Elizabeth Warren is going to do that. Now that we're back to congressional gridlock, and now that she played an instrumental role, maybe more by what she didn't do than by what she did do, in killing this current legislation. I can only think for her own personal political ambitions. But, you know, I will, you know, here's another little data point. Again, since I'm kind of speaking more for the record than anything else at this point. You know, we saw at least one person claiming to be a progressive arguing viciously against returning bankruptcy to student loans. Her name escapes me. She's a Twitter person. But Melissa something, Melissa Byrne, Byrne, I think is her name, Melissa McBurn or something. She argued strenuously against returning bankruptcy to student loans, saying, "Oh, bankruptcy's unpleasant. It's just disgusting." And you know, we came to find out that this Melissa Byrne person was on the payroll. She was getting $5,000 a month from the DNC, the Democratic National Committee. So was she taking her marching orders from the DNC? I have to assume so. But that's something that we saw, and you deserve to know about it. Alan Budenheimer says, there are a lot of us revolutionaries here in Charlotte, North Carolina. We all just need to unite and do everything we can. Well, you know, you are in ground zero. Bless everyone struggling so life is hard. Use every chance to have to fight for justice and loan cancellation. You are actually in ground zero in the bad part of the student loan universe, Alan. You know, as I said, the worst person in the world on this issue is Virginia Fox, and she is going to be head of the House Education Workforce Committee in the new year. So you certainly are in the right place to go into the lion's den there, Alan. Rhiannon says, I was always sad when I retweeted, but only saw like 50 retweets. Right? You're bringing tears to my eyes, Rhiannon. Come on, guys. We had I'm not going to go off on too much of a tangent here, but we had over 1 million people. We have almost 1.2 million people sign our petition. We've got 20,000 people on our Facebook group. We've got a couple 100,000 people across our other platforms. And, you know, I can only say, guys, to those of you who were fighting this very good fight with us, I salute you. And to everyone else, I don't think I really even need to say anything. Brenda Phillips says, great documentary. Rhiannon says, Warren tried to get the Clintons to pass the bankruptcy language and BAP CPA. Not to pass. Right. Yeah. Elizabeth Warren was right. Well, she was spot on as a bankruptcy scholar and professor at Harvard University back in the day before she was in Congress. And so, okay, guys, I quite frankly am pretty bummed out. So, and I'm sorry. I really, again, I'm truly sorry to have to bring you this news. It's 3 days before Christmas, and it gives me no pleasure, guys. None at all. None whatsoever. So So I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. I may possibly do a live stream on Friday. I don't know. I'm gonna see how I feel. I may take it off. But in any event, guys, we're still here. And so if there's any ray of hope that I can leave you with tonight, it is that we fought the good fight. We are fighting the good fight. We're not going anywhere. We're only getting stronger. And but for the bad politics in this country, justice would be ours. So take that to heart. And I will just wish everybody good night, good luck, and God bless everyone.